ball is the touchdown pass to Robinson.
And 2 receivers to the left with Harvey and Robinson out there. Scott, the lone man in the backfield. Split to the right side, it's Long. Back to pass, Long the intended, and it's going to be just a bit short. It had the distance for a first down, but the pass was a bit underthrown, and Kirby just couldn't bend back to pick it up.
Kirby running an out route right there. Just a little bit short, as David Scott's going to look for the 3rd time this game to try and get it inside the 20. That could be a personal best.
Scott with 2 punts for an average of 39 yards, but he has given the Dukes defense that side good field position. And another fair catch, and this is going to take a bounce. The Dukes lost it. Will they get to it in time? And they're going to say it's going to be a touchback. Dukes could not get there. Just Ryan Smith, I think, was there for JMU. Jakari Jackson back on the coverage also.
Good play by Brandon Johnson-Farrell there to signal the fair catch when the ball wasn't even really near him. Attracted some JMU defenders, and the ball was over there on the other side as you see the back towards him. Anderson's foot was on the line as he was touching the ball there.
So it has been, as Coach Matthews likes to say, a field position nightmare for the Rhode Island Rams, but I'm much certain that they would rather have the Rams experience in the nightmare. Benston going to go back to pass. Crossing pass again to Maglarise, and he's going to be stopped by Stephon Robinson, also giving some assistance there, Jakari Jackson.
Maglarise, 15 catches for 2 touchdowns coming into the game. Appeared in every game the past 2 seasons and has started 18 at tight end.
He's out of Bluebell, Pennsylvania. Had 16 catches for 176 yards a year ago. Benson getting Maglarise in motion. Going to wheel to the right on the run, looking downfield, and the pass is overthrown. Mike Allen was there, and Jakari Jackson also in on the coverage. Anthony Bakersfield, the intended receiver. 3rd down.
I'm surprised they haven't tried to get Bakersfield more involved in this game, because he is their deep threat. He's 2nd in the CAA in receiving yards per game at 77.
And also 6th in the league in receptions per game.
Yeah, so he's clearly probably their best player on the offensive side of the ball. I think that's only the 2nd time he's been thrown to today.
Bakersfield will be the inside receiver with Bynum the outside receiver on the left side, but he's going to look right is Benson. He's going to overthrow his intended target. And that makes an easy play for Mike Allen, and the Dukes will send out their return team once again with Daquan Scott as the Benston pass. Benston just not throwing the ball very well today also.
Yeah, I think throughout the season, Benston and Prost have kind of had their inefficiency, even though that I believe Prost is top in the CAA when it comes to passing efficiency.
Feinstein, bit of a rugby style this time. Going to kick away from Scott. He's going to catch it on the bounce. Daquan cuts it up to the numbers and gets driven back there. Zacco once again on the stop.
Media timeout on the field. Media timeout.
Jay Crawford, our red hat today, is out on the field, meaning we've got another media timeout here from Bridgeport Stadium. Kurt Dudley and Matt O'Toole with you here on Madison, the internet broadband channel for JMU Athletics. I want to invite you to join us again tomorrow at about 3:45 as we get set for the home opener. The JMU men's basketball team, the Dukes, facing the Golden Griffs of Canisius out of Buffalo. This is the return game from 2 seasons ago when the Dukes went up to very snowy Buffalo and faced the Golden Griffs. Dukes lost that ball game. That was part of the Bracket Busters game. I got a chance to spend some time with some JMU alums up there, and they took me to the Anchor Bar, which is the original Buffalo Wild Wings spot. Yeah, it was. Doesn't get any better than that as far as wings are concerned. Buffalo Wings.
Coach Brady will look to try and get to 1-0 for the first time here at JMU. He's lost his past 3 season openers.
Amanda Sarver, whose father just retired last year, was his last season head coach at Harrisonburg High School. Amanda was up there working for the Bison. And so she came over to the game that evening. And we've known Amanda practically all her life. So good to see her up there now working for the Baltimore Orioles. Here's the handoff. And this will go to Anderson. Anderson cuts to the right side, finds a bit of a seam there.
Flag on the play.
Delaney sends him out, and there is a flag that does come down, Matt.
This one might be coming back. I think they're going to get a holding there on Matt Kraut.
That is indeed the case.
Kraut was trying to plead his case.
Holding. Offense. Number 74. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Well, the Dukes have oftentimes today started with very long field positions, and that was an easy one to spot on the backside there of the run by Anderson. So the Dukes have had to overcome first and long, second and long situations, which was much the case last week at New Hampshire as well. The Dukes were able to put up 14 points here in this first half thus far today. In motion. The handoff goes to Anderson. Anderson just does get caught up there at the 30-yard line. If Delaney doesn't get a handle on that ankle, I think Anderson might have had one of his other long runs of the season. He's got an 80-yarder that occurred here at Bridgeport Stadium.
Yeah, no stranger to the long run. During that 3-week stretch, Anderson every week just constantly kept getting better against, what was it, Richmond, Maine, and Villanova.
DeAndre Smith is split to the right side. Anderson the back. Make that Thorpe going over the top looking for Smith. Trying to make an adjustment was DeAndre. Evan Shields there with him. And the incomplete pass. Thorpe now 1 for 5 passing, but the one completion was the 24-yard touchdown to Bernard Robinson.
Sets up a 3rd and long. JMU 1 for 5 as we take a look at the replay here. Thorpe just throwing the deep ball here. Good defense by Rhode Island, by Shields.
So 3rd down and 13 at the 30-yard line. Thorpe from the shotgun. 3-step drop. He's going to run right up the seam. Thorpe, and he will not pick up the first down as he's dropped at the 35. Zucco again on the tackle. 5:15 to go in the first half of play. Dukes up 14-0.
Zucco's 8th tackle so far in this half.
On again, it's David Scott, who's been busy this first half of play. 3 punts for an average of 43 yards. Punts this one from the 24. And Bakersfield will call for a fair catch, and he does take the ball this time. So with 4:49 to play in the first half, at the 23-yard line, Rhode Island will begin this possession. Dukes lead the all-time series 6-3.
Here we get some scores. The big one up in Maryland. New Hampshire and Towson are tied at 7-all. I believe the winner of that, do they win the CAA? Well, they got the inside track?
Well, they would have the inside track, although New Hampshire and Maine play each other next weekend. So Towson really has if Towson wins today, they would have the upper hand of at least sharing the CAA title. Then they would be rooting for New Hampshire or rooting for Maine. Ball is loose.
That's a fumble.
And it's a fumble, I do believe, although they're saying it's down. Stephon Robinson, they're wreaking havoc for the Dukes.
Yeah, I thought that was a fumbled ball. Unless they whistled the play dead, as everyone in the stands gets to see the replay, and they're reacting as well. As we'll take a look here. Oh, I don't know. That was close.
That was close. Kind of hard to tell from that angle, although it looked like it was ripped out. And just a gain of 1 yard on the play. Benston, the quarterback, looks over to the sideline now. And this will be a timeout.
First charge, timeout of the half, Rhode Island.
This is going to give Coach Matthews a little bit more time to talk to the referees about that call as he's down there pleading his case. But going back to we were talking about the CAA.
I'm going to beg to differ. He doesn't plead.
There he is right there.
Plead is really an understatement. Well, he at least got his $1.25 worth in on that one.
Looking to get his 5th win against the Rhode Island Rams. He's 4-2 all time.
Coach Matthews in his 13th season here at JMU, 93 wins and 60 losses. Another key factor about tonight's ball game as well is getting win number 6 would mean that the Dukes assure themselves of another winning season, and they have their last losing season was all the way back in 2002. In 03 they went 6-6, and of course 04 13-2, winning the national championship, and since that time the worst season the Dukes have had is 6-5, and they're coming off a couple of those. Here's Morgan trying to get to the edge, and he does so. Lamar Middleton eventually makes some contact with him. He carries it up to the 30-yard line, still shy of the first down. 3rd down and about 3.5 to pick up a first down.
The Rams so far are 1 for 6 on 3rd down conversions. I think they actually got their first 3rd down conversion on the opening drive, and have since been 0 for 5. So JMU's defense has done a good job at buckling down here on the 3rd downs.
So 3rd and 4. Morgan, the man in the backfield. He shifts over to the right. He'll take the handoff, and he's going to be met by Pat Williams in the backfield. A loss on the play. 4th down, Rhode Island. They'll be punting it away again. Williams having a wonderful senior day here for his Dukes of James Madison out of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Man has got 3 job offers already, and all of them are pretty impressive ones up in Northern Virginia.
2nd leading tackler on the team. He wasn't having any of that.
Scott back right up the middle of the infield there, and it's going to be fielded by Scott to the outside. He gets stutter steps, and steps looked like he was going out of bounds, and instead cuts it back in. That's a competitive return by Scott, as he certainly will feel the pain at the end of that one, as well as Matt Ray comes in and puts a hit on him at the end of it all. But Scott got all the way to the midfield stripe. I thought he was going to tiptoe out of bounds, but instead he decides to cut it up inside. And the Dukes again with a short field, relatively speaking here. Field position has been something the Dukes have enjoyed all of this first half of play.
That's his 5th punt return of the day for a little over 70 yards. And I got a feeling he's going to break one of those sometime soon, because he's getting some lanes there, and he keeps dancing around. He's going to find a hole there once in a while.
So the Dukes for the first time have 2 men in the backfield. It's Anderson and Scott. Scott goes over left tackle, but not a lot of room there. Making the tackle was Doug Johnson.
Duke's going to try to get a score in here before halftime, and they receive the ball in the second half, so they can really try and put Rhode Island behind the 8 ball if they can get a score here.
Rome Babington, the JMU center, one of the seniors for the Dukes, snaps it back to Thorpe. He's going to look to pass after and now he's going to get sacked as he just took too long. Doug Johnson, coming from the right side, takes down Justin Thorpe.
Yeah, that's a covered sack right there. Once again, Justin's looking downfield, still not seeing a whole lot. Looks like he was about to release the ball, maybe. I don't know if that's just him not feeling comfortable throwing the ball, because when he's running, he feels a lot more comfortable as he's dancing around there. And when he gets back there to throw it, you don't see as much confidence in him, even though his one completion was a touchdown.
Minute 22 is the clock now running here in this first half. At halftime, got a couple of features for you, as early in our halftime,
Final charge, timeout of the half. James Madison.
the Dukes will take the timeout to preserve a little time on the clock here with the 3rd down and see that they get a play in that they hope can pick up this first down. It's a 3rd and 15. And again, JMU has been in a third and long. Been a lot of long downs for the Dukes here in this first half. And in spite of all that, they do have the 14-0 lead. But we talked about Pat Williams, the first half that he has had. We'll have an interview with Pat. Matt O'Toole talks to him. Pat with over 300 career tackles. And we'll also get a feature on JMU redshirt junior volleyball player Natalie Abel. Very steady player for the JMU Dukes. See some of the good-looking crowd that's here. It's a good crowd for the final regular season home game. And it's really a nice November day.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Doesn't get much better than this in November. It was really nice in New Hampshire last weekend. I was mainly concerned how cold it can get there because of the open-air press box.
Is that Billy Kosh in the backfield?
No, that's Latney. It's 27, not 47, not 17. Rhode Island will now call a timeout.
That kind of looks like a 17.
Well, yeah, these jerseys, they do have, these jerseys are very tightly fitting, and when they get up, bundled up underneath the pads every once in a while, you can see even Brian Barlow's there is, even though he's got it on tightly, you see how it just kind of crinkles on the numbers, and sometimes they just get turned enough that it makes it a little difficult to pick them up, particularly when you're looking at them from the side view. These are pretty good uniforms to work with. Some of those light colored ones are difficult, but I was really concerned. Rhode Island uses a baby blue scheme in a lot of their uniforms as well, and if they wear the baby blue with the white numbers, forget about it. You can't. It's very difficult to pick it up. And when they used to run the option with a lot of dive fakes and everything, it was really tough to pick up who was carrying the football.
Coach Matthews lets his seniors pick what uniforms they want to wear on Tuesday. Usually tells them what typically the other team's gonna wear to help them.
So Latney is the man in the backfield. This is going to be a quarterback draw by Justin Thorpe. Thorpe across midfield, the 45 down to the 42-yard line. Zacco in to make the tackle. It'll be a fourth down for the Dukes. So they take the timeout and run the QB draw with the feet of Justin Thorpe, relying on his athletic ability. Gets a nice block out there by Kraut, but somebody forgot to take care of Zacco.
Wouldn't be a bad idea to run this down and maybe try and go for it, because Rhode Island can't stop the clock. And if you get a first down, you could play for a field goal. Yeah, that's what they're going to try and do.
They're going to do it. Way to go, Matt O'Toole. Coach O'Toole, when he graduates next May, he's going to ask for a position on Coach Matthews' staff. Back to pass it is Thorpe. Thorpe going to go all over the top looking for the home run ball, and it's going to be out of bounds down around the 5-yard line. So the Dukes taking a shot at it. That'll stop the clock with 25 seconds to go, and the Rhode Island Rams will take it back in one of their, this may be their best starting field position of the afternoon. Now the JMU defense just has to make sure it stays taut here for the final 25 seconds and not give up an easy play.
Interesting decision to throw the deep ball there on a 4th and 2 when Justin has done an exceptional job running it. I mean, I guess with that, then you got to spike it, and Mickey was just trying to go for the home run.
It's like he had good money on the table, playing with the house money there on that particular play, and so it didn't go for JMU. Here's Benston, the quarterback. A couple of steps back, looking over. He's going to take a hit. The ball is caught, and the Dukes will come up with the tackle there, but Bakersfield with a very athletic catch there down the field. And the tackle, Marlowe making the stop, and now the Rams will spike the football with 14 seconds to go. And they're just a short play away from a field goal opportunity to try to get something on the board here at the end of the first half.
Yeah, that house money might have turned on him there. That's a good catch there by Baskersville. 14 seconds left. Rhode Island cannot stop the clock. So anything in play in front of the sticks will probably end the half.
Bynum comes to the near side, one man in the backfield. Two receivers split to the far right side. Benston looks over, goes over the top again, and this ball will be picked off, and unfortunately for Dean Marlowe. He was unable to keep his balance. He had the sideline to his own, but the momentum carried him out. Marlowe with his 3rd interception of the season.
Yeah, that would have been very interesting to see how far he could have gotten down the field there had he not stepped out. I think Rhode Island ran the exact same play, but Benson was just looking for a different person there as Dean Marlowe was just kind of sitting back there playing center field on that play and was able to read that pass. And this will probably take us into the half.
Marlowe coming off a career-high 12 tackles last weekend at New Hampshire. That's one of those good news, bad news deals. You don't necessarily want your safeties making 12 tackles because that usually means that there's a lot of deep penetration. The Dukes are just going to settle for the 14-0 lead. And the Dukes will go into the halftime after pitching a shutout in the first 30 minutes of this ball game.
Doug Johnson in there to make that tackle. A transfer from Dean College, where he led them to the Valley of the Sun Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. 2nd in the CAA in tackles for loss with 11.
Say hello also to Mr. Kerr and Mr. Griffin just outside of Pittsburgh, JMU alumni, watching the Dukes on Madison. 2nd down and 12 from the 20. Here's Thorpe on the pass. Caught out there on the left side. This is by Kirby Long. Long trying to struggle to break a tackle to pick up the yards for the first down, but he'll be well shy of it as Dunbar, that is, makes the tackle for the Rhode Island Rams.
Nice to see Justin completing his first pass of the second half. He only completed one of those in the first half, so hopefully he can get a little more confidence as the game progresses.
3rd down. The Dukes in the first half, 1 for 7, as was Rhode Island on 3rd down conversions. Thorpe, the quick pass over to the right flat, and it is caught, driven back though after the reception. This will depend upon the spot as Kirby Long comes up with it. Dunbar is there to make the tackle, and looks like he's going to get a favorable spot, Matt.
Yeah, I think that's going to be enough. Back-to-back passes there from Thorpe to Long. Seems as if they got a little bit of rhythm going there.
This time he just wings it out to the right. Dunbar right there on the spot, but Long had driven him off the line of scrimmage well enough to get the necessary yards for the first down.
Dukes are going to try and maintain the clock here in this second half.
Ball now at the 33-yard line. The handoff is fake. Now a pass out on the flat, and what a tackle that was by Dunbar. They're going to say that was a completed pass, Willie? Yes, they will. As it was Dunbar getting underneath the block of Renard Robinson to take the feet out from underneath Kirby Long. Well, that play looked like, if Dunbar doesn't blow up the play, that's going to be a long play for Kirby Long. In fact, he may have had a chance to take that one all the way for the Dukes' 3rd touchdown of the day.
Yeah, we take a look at the replay here. Sends everything to the right to get the screen going out there to the left.
Hey, Renard just missed the block opportunity, didn't engage the cornerback well enough or long enough. And the ball might have had a little too much air under it as well. That disrupts the timing as well. Just a couple of yards on the play. 2nd down and 8. This is in motion. Anderson, the handoff goes to Daquan Scott. He turns up the field. 1st down and more across midfield to the 40. Down to the 30. He's going to cut back up to the midfield. Down to the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Daquan Scott with the score.
The longest of the season. His 9th will put the Dukes up 20-0.
Well, Long didn't take it to the house, but instead it was Daquan Scott with the run. And the Dukes out in front now 20-0.
Just a good seal there on the left side. And you could kind of see that was going to pay to right about the 45-yard line there, as nobody was going to catch him with that breakaway speed.
And the extra point coming from Cameron Stark. And that'll add to the offensive totals in a hurry with the long run. Dukes finally break one. And Stark will add the extra point. It's 21-0.
Immediate timeout on the field.
And immediate timeout here at Bridgeport Stadium with 12:13 to go in the second half of play.
Here's the replay, and you can just see Watford and Rhode just getting out there, and Daquan's taking it from there, as nobody on Rhode Island is going to be able to catch up to that kind of speed.
Well, he finishes off a 66-yard run, and that indeed is not the longest scoring play for the Dukes this season, but the longest run for Daquan Scott. And it's a 5-play, 77-yard drive, so very similar start to the second half as it was the first half for the Dukes, with the exception of that being a long run. The first drive of the game for the Dukes was a 5-play, 64-yard drive, 2:09. This one, 5-play, 77 yards, 2:42 off the clock. I just saw Furman lost to Elon today. That might be a big loss as far as the postseason aspirations of teams are concerned.
Yeah, and speaking of that, there are some playoff scenarios out there. I know that at this level it doesn't get covered that well, but the local writer around here, Mike Barber from the Daily News Record, he has a blog that you can easily access through the DNR that if you go to his blog, he really does break down the playoff scenarios. And Furman, which he said Furman needs a win over Elon on Saturday. So
didn't happen.
So it didn't happen. So that helps the Dukes out. And he was saying even if that happened, Furman would have been a bubble team. And he lists 7 teams out there that potentially could be in JMU's way for them to watch over the next 2 weeks. About obviously the Dukes have to win out, but maybe look at these players. As Cameron Stark's going to do the same thing last time, but he's kicking it deep.
Yeah, a little deeper this time, but it is still a pooch kick, and it's caught at the 28. And this will be Morgan bringing it up the field, and this will be reasonably good field position for the Rhode Island Rams here. Yeah, the only way for Furman to possibly get in the playoffs will get a win next week because they would beat Florida.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to occur. At least the chances of that are about 1%. 12:09 to go in the third.
And I believe Mike's blog is the Barber Cut that you can access through the Daily News Record.
Isn't he just great with words there? All right, back to the action as the Dukes with a 21-0 lead now on the Rhode Island Rams. Benston sends Baskerville in motion. The handoff goes to the right side. Good running room out there, as that was Mudimbe on the carry. Asani Mudimbe. Tackle made by Dean Marlowe, coming up to make the stop that time. A reasonably good gain on the first down play. Second down and about 3.
Mudimbe did have one rushing carry in the first half, but didn't get anywhere. Might have been the longest run. Oh no, Billy Morgan had a 12-yard run earlier.
Benston in the shotgun. This time a 3-step drop. Looking over the field. Some good coverage downfield by the Dukes. And the ball just off the hands of Stephon Robinson. And they're going to say, is it caught? Yes, they do. They say the knee went down before he got out of bounds by Baskerville, the receiver. I believe it was Baskerville on that far side.
Johnson Farrell, I think. This is a pretty incredible catch here. It hits off of Stephon Robertson's arm, and then he one-handed it over. Watch this one-handed grab here.
It was actually behind him. Wow, what a play. That's some pretty good athleticism on that play. Great concentration. Stephon Robinson very disappointed with himself. Not at least knocking that ball down. Under center, it's Benston. Maglarese is in motion now. He'll settle there to the left. The handoff fake now rolling out. And the short pass is going to be incomplete, looking for Maglarese. And that just was an ugly play to finish.
Yeah, Benson had Johnson Farrell down the middle of the field wide open, but I think his body was more going towards the left side, and Johnson Farrell was over there by the S&O on Madison.
Delaware Blue Hens up on Richmond 21-3. That's usually a game that has meant playoff implications the last several years, and that will not be the case this year.
Richmond might go winless in the conference play for maybe the first time ever.
Here's Prost now in at quarterback for the Rhode Island Rams. He's going to send Johnson Farrell in motion. Steps back. This is going to be a draw, but nothing going there. And now he finds some room. And Marlowe comes up. The ball is loose. Picked up. Nope. Now dropped again by the Dukes, and I think they're going to blow it dead anyway. As Prost, the ball carrier. Ball comes loose after it was whistled dead. And it looked like he was going to get bottled up. Watch here, the good pressure up the line there by the Dukes defensive line. Then he just finds a bit of an alley. Tripped up by Marlowe. Third down. Ball spotted at the 31-yard line of JMU. Third down and 4. They pick up that first down with trips to the left. Now in motion, Maglarese. again, the quarterback. He's going to roll to his right. Looks downfield, lofts it high. Ball is knocked down by Mike Allen. That's a good play by the defensive back for the Dukes. Tried to pop it up into the air and give himself a chance to catch it.
Yeah, nice play there by Mike Allen. And Rhode Island, after starting 1 for 1 on third down conversions, is now 0 for their last 7.
I think Mike might have jumped up a little too soon there. So it'll be 4th down now, and the Rams are going to go for it, trailing 21-0 early in the third quarter.
Yeah, this would be about a 48-yarder had they tried it, and that would have been Feinstein's longest of his career.
Baskerville and Bynum set to the near side. Maglarese and 2 other receivers out on the far side for the Rams. And this ball knocked down by the Dukes coverage. Dropping back in coverage was Tyler Snow, and Stephon Robinson also there, as the intended receiver was Johnson Farrell.
And it's a long way to go, but you know the JMU defense and these seniors, they want to try and pitch that shutout here on their last regular season home game here.
Well, it certainly would bode well, particularly since next week this time the Dukes will be up in Amherst, Massachusetts to face the Minutemen to close out the regular season. Right now the Dukes looking pretty good at 21-0, and Justin Thorpe, Jordan Anderson with him in the backfield. 2 receivers, split both sides, and the Dukes with the 2 tight ends. Here's Anderson. Anderson's got a hole. He's up to the 40, across the 42-yard line. Delaney jumps on his back there and rides him down, but Jordan Anderson will pick up a James Madison first down. That'll be the 9th of the ball game for JMU.
The holes are just getting bigger and bigger as the game is wearing down, as JMU has 26 rushes for 164 yards.
I would anticipate the way this game is working out, the Dukes are going to get some additional big chunks of yardage here out of this rushing game as this game wears on. Handoff goes to Anderson. Stutter steps as he reaches the line of scrimmage, then plows forward. Only is able to gain about a yard on the play. Delaney again on the tackle. And give him 2 for Jordan Anderson. Anderson set a career-high rushing in consecutive weeks, 162 yards and a couple of touchdowns, following the next week with 212 yards and 1 score. And that was during that stretch that Matt alluded to earlier in mid-October, early to mid-October.
Yeah, it was kind of quiet in the 2 losses against Old Dominion and New Hampshire, so nice to see him back up and running.
Here is Thorpe. Thorpe will keep it. He's going to follow the block of Jonathan Sharp outside. Gets it nearly to midfield. Stopped at the 49. Evan Shields will stop him there with 8:40 to go. And the Dukes leading 21-0. Fakes the handoff and rolling to the right. That's a good tackle there. Just squaring up the shoulders for Evan Shields. Scott in the backfield with Thorpe.
The Dukes 2 for 8 on third down conversions.
2 receivers to the left. Brown and Long. Handoff goes to Scott. Scott breaks 1 tackle. He's going to pop it to the outside across the midfield stripe and whirls around. Still keeps his feet and finally driven out of bounds on the far side. Stanley Dunbar making the final stop on Daquan Scott.
We have an injury on the play.
Well, they got all kinds of help rushing to tend to the injured Rhode Island Ram. That stops the clock with 8 minutes to go. Again, a reminder, the Dukes on the basketball hardwood tomorrow over at the Convocation Center. That'll be a 4 o'clock tip-off. We'll begin our Madison coverage at about 3:45 as Coach Matt Brady begins his 4th season. You get a chance to see the likes of A.J. Davis, a transfer from Wyoming, the cousin of JMU's Devon Moore. And you'll get a chance to see him tomorrow against the Golden Griffs of Canisius here on Madison if you can't make it over to the stadium.
The injured player on the field, I believe, is Willie McGinnis, number 56. He's 3rd on the team in tackles. Started every game that he's been eligible for. This was his 44th start.
If you're in the stadium today watching Madison or hearing it broadcast throughout and hanging around this evening after the ball game, invite you to go over and watch the volleyball Dukes at 7:30 face the Towson Tigers. That'll be the final regular season matchup for the volleyball Dukes this evening. Very exciting team to watch. Last night they had a heck of a battle with the Delaware Blue Hens. There were two very highly competitive college events here last night, both involving Madison and Delaware. The only unfortunate aspect was that the home team lost on both occasions. JMU men's soccer in the semifinals of the CAA tournament on penalty kicks, 5-4 there, and in 5 sets it was Delaware edging the Dukes 3-2 last night over at Godwin Hall. That'll be free of charge, 7:30, the Dukes and the Tigers of Towson University. Now 1st and 10 for JMU. At the 44-yard line, Scott in the backfield. Kirby Long set wide to the left side. Also Sharp in the slot. Here's Long in motion. Handoff goes the opposite way for where Long just came from by Scott. Scott is met helmet to helmet by Zacco once again. And he didn't pick up any yards that time.
JMU just doing the run here.
Doug Johnson also there to assist Jocko on the stop. No gain on the play, 2nd down and 10. Now the shotgun. And cutting back in, it's going to be Justin Thorpe. Very little gain on that play. Josh Moody bringing down Thorpe. So 3rd down and 10 now. Andre Coble will come into the lineup for the Dukes. Jonathan Sharp will step out of the lineup.
Coble always adds that new wrinkle. As a quarterback in high school, he can throw the ball and run the ball as well. Went to Meadowbrook High.
Daniel Brown and Coble in the pattern on the left side. And it's going to be dumped off, a little screen, but Zacco is there to put the hit on Daquan Scott, so very little pickup there. He was trying to get the ball to Scott in another form and fashion. So 4th and 9 now. And the punting unit will come back on. David Scahn in the first half had 4 punts for an average of 42.8. And Scott will go back to punt. And he's going to do so. And a fair catch called for. It's going to drop inside the 10 and take a JMU favorable bounce. It's going to roll all the way down inside the 2.
I think that's the 3rd time this game that Scott has been inside the 20-yard line.
Been a very effective punter today, and that has been part of the reason that the Rhode Island Rams have been in very poor field position through most of this contest. And we have a media timeout. And hearing from some of our alumni, C. Michael Ray, a JMU Charleston alum, is asking, will the basketball game be in HD? Not quite yet. We're still working on some aspects of that. It's just the setup here at Bridgeforth is a little different than what it is over at the Convocation Center. We eventually will get to that. It's just not going to be right away. So good question there, Michael. And also hearing from Adam Morehouse. And Adam was up at New Hampshire last weekend. Didn't get a chance to see him, but he was there at the game. And he says, if we win next week, do we make the playoffs? Well, I certainly think that if the Dukes hang on and win this ball game and beat UMass, they're 7-4. And I think that will get them into the playoffs coming out of the Colonial Athletic Association. That would give them basically a 7-3 record in FCS play. And the 3 losses would come to 3 teams that are going into the postseason. That would be Maine. It would also be, of course, New Hampshire and the Old Dominion Monarchs, who finished off their first season in the CAA with a record of 9-2 overall and 6-2 in CAA play. If the Dukes do not make the playoffs at 7-4, then there needs to be some consideration about playing the 1As. Of course, those are big paydays, as the Duke's 4th loss came against North Carolina, and in all probability they could have scheduled a 1AA or FCS win against another opponent and had another home game on top of that. So here's the handoff from Prost. He's going to go to right up the middle as the handoff is by to Morgan, and he's going to be stopped by DJ Bryant.
And with JMU being 7-3, there are other teams out there that are vying to get in the playoffs. Some teams that are on the bubble are like your Central Arkansas, Illinois State, Indiana State, Southern Utah, and Stony Brook. And to kind of answer that question a little bit, that blog that I was talking about with Barbara really is a good insight on how you can figure out where teams stack, and he thinks that, as well as you, Kurt, that with JMU, with the 2 wins, it would put them in the playoffs in the first round game. And
that might mean another home game, which wouldn't be a bad thing for JMU. And the first round means that the Dukes would be one of 8 teams playing on the opening day. Again, Morgan the carrier, and Bryant again the stop on the tackle. And if that were the case, then the Dukes would be playing here at home on the Saturday following Thanksgiving. But that's just looking ahead. Third down now for the Rhode Island Rams. It's a 3rd and 4 in the shadows of the Plecker Performance Center. Prost again, the quarterbacks. They have made the change on the quarterbacks here in this second half. Moving Morgan now to his left. Fakes the handoff, drops back, going over the top, and it is dropped. Had the man open, and that was his receiver, Maglarise. Maglarise just could not hang on to it. The ball was in the right spot. It'll be a 4th down, and now the punting unit comes back on again with Louis Feinstein, who has had some adventures as far as the punting is concerned today. 6 punts for 35.2 yards. That ball just a tad bit overthrown, and Maglarise just not quite good enough to get to it. It's going to be a short kick and a low one at that. This will give a chance for the return of Scott. Scott coughs it up. It actually ends up in the hands of one of his teammates, and I think that's Kirby Long with it after Scott loses the handle.
I think it's Latney.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think
okay.
it fell into the hands of Jawan Latney there and went forward a couple yards there too.
It was Jawan Latney. Good spot there, Matt O'Toole.
It kind of just placed right neatly into his hands as we look at the replay.
And we'll get a good view of it here. Scott stutter stepping there, and just the helmet knocks it out. And it does end up into the arms of Latney, who stays on his feet, and he butts head a couple of times with some of those Rams. Wonder with those Ram helmets with that horn on there if they hit harder with that.
So when a running back's in need, you just toss it off to another running back and let him get the extra yards.
Yeah. You have to really sell the fumble, though.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there would be a rule change. And there are such rules. Here's Jordan Anderson in the backfield, and he'll get the handoff from Thorpe. Stutter steps, goes the opposite way. He breaks one tackle, but he can't get away from Delaney. Man, I tell you, the first downs have not been very good to the Dukes today.
Been seeing themselves in a lot of 2nd and 12s and 2nd and 13s.
You know, I can't say that I've seen many games where a team will find themselves in so many 2nd down and long situations behind the sticks on almost, I bet you it's a good percentage of the plays in today's ball game. But it's very rare for a team to do that and have a 21-0 lead. But the defense playing well, and the Dukes getting enough big plays to counter that. And Thorpe just gets buried this time. As coming in, it's James Timmons. I think the sticks are even further for the Dukes now.
I think now they're just kind of Rhode Island kind of knows that they're going to run the ball with. There's no secret that JMU's trying to get to their, I guess, with their kind of winning formation when they run the ball when they're up like this. So I think at this point Rhode Island's just kind of reading who's going to get the ball now. And 3rd and 18, I wouldn't be surprised here if Thorpe uses his legs and tries to run this as well.
Don't be surprised. He does have 2 receivers to the left side. That's Robinson, and in the slot, it's Scott. Daniel Brown on the right side. And actually, they're going to go to the air And he's going to look on the sideline and out of bounds. They're not going to say this is going to be a catch, although it was brought down by Kirby Long. But it is incomplete, out of bounds. So now 4th down for JMU.
They bring out the punting team. That's Thorpe looking downfield the whole time there for Kirby. You can see that's how close he was to being out of bounds.
So Scon will come in to punt once again for the Dukes. Baskerville back at his 10, whistled just as the snap was being executed.
First charge timeout of the half, Rhode Island.
Rhode Island wants to use a timeout. So with 2:13 to go in the third, the Dukes, well, they're just very steady play here. A touchdown in each of the first 3 quarters. And they would be happy going into the final frame with a 21-0 lead. Coach Mickey Matthews, the 13th year head coach of the Dukes. We will hear from Coach Matthews as well as a couple of players after today's contest. So stick around for that. And we'll take a look at the final numbers. Some of them you see right there.
Dukes have limited the Rhode Island offense to 129 total yards. So we see Justin Thorpe is 5 of 11 for 39 yards and that touchdown.
Delaware leading Richmond after 3 quarters, 21-3. Towson has doubled up on New Hampshire, 42-21. That game still in the second quarter, 4:22 to play.
You got to think there's probably some defensive touchdowns in there. That's
might be
6 possessions in the first half.
Scon will punt it away, whirls it off, and that'll be a fair catch. And then he tried to advance it afterwards. So a flag will come out.
And then he just stopped.
Well, he knew he had pulled a boo-boo, you might say. That'll cost him some yardage. Fans trying to start the wave just down below our broadcast location here on Madison.
Receiving team number 7, advancing the ball after a fair catch signal. 5-yard penalty, first down.
There he heard a 5-yard penalty, trying to advance the ball after the fair catch. Just can't do that. There's the fair catch call, and hey, let me take off with it. I think he just had a little brain lock there.
Yeah, it puts them inside the 10-yard line now at the 8. So back-to-back drives where they're going to be inside their own 10.
They have not had many possessions inside JMU territory at all. 1, maybe 2. Benston back, the quarterback now in his own end zone. He's going to step out of the end zone, goes up the middle. They go for the home run ball, and it's underthrown as Bynum didn't make the adjustment on the ball.
Yeah, he wasn't even really looking to see where the ball was until at that point it was nowhere near him.
I think that may have been all Benston could get on it. See how much he works to get that. He could have stepped into it a little bit more, maybe got a little bit deeper to it. Back on the coverage was Tavion Cuffey of the Dukes. That stops the clock with 2:01 to go, and Prost will come back out. So they're changing quarterbacks on the plays here, play for play. You never know which one's going to come in. Prost this time will step into the end zone. He's going to fire it, and it's intercepted by Stephon Robertson. Well, he nearly had one earlier in the ball game, and he gets this one here.
Yeah, he's making sure that he was at least going to get one today. Wasn't going to let 2 slip out of his hands. Sets up well for the Dukes, and they'll take over possession at the 22-yard line.
Stephon with his first interception of 2011.
So he's just reading the defense right there. The leading tackler on the Dukes.
Rookie of the year last year in the CAA. Gets the interception there for James Madison, and also sets up very short field position for JMU.
Robertson and his teammates there celebrating. Talking about how that play went down as